There you go.
Alright, so affected. Tyler, please turn around this. Girls. Alright, so affected, sorry, means to cause a change. So something caused a change in something else. Then we have singe. Has anyone heard the word singe? Singe. Okay, so it's when you burn something. So if you think of maybe if you're cooking something at the stove, it might singe your shirt, right? So it's burning it, okay? Or if you think of singeing your hair, it'll get all like burnt, so it'll look all crooked. And you can, what? Oh, they did?
Yeah, it was an island.
Okay, so it made it break off. Okay, good. Horizon. We've been talking about this one a lot too in math, right? So the horizon is where the sky meets the ocean. So that line it creates, right? So it's a horizontal line, horizon. Miscalculated, which means to be figured incorrectly. So if you miscalculate a math problem, it's not correct, right? Because miss means not, so it's not calculated correctly. And then we have temperature. I think we all know what temperature means. So in science, right? With all of our ecosystems. So some ecosystems are going to have higher temperatures than other, right? So our temperature here is pretty mild, right? It doesn't get super hot and it doesn't get super cold. And then we have weather vane. Some of you might remember this from when we did that branding exercise in social studies, right? Remember one of the brands was a weather vane? So this is a pointer. So see this? It spins to show which direction the wind is going. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, we're going to do, you have a question? So see, it's almost like it equals, like if you think of a scale, those boxes were heavier than the horse was. So they miscalculated how much the horse could carry. Do you guys see that? So the horse is up and the boxes are all down. Does that make sense, Tyler? All right, we're going to do our vocabulary exercise like we usually do. So who's our teacher's assistant this week? Mohammed? Okay, do you want to choose people? So read the definition and then choose people.
Cause the change in
What is the word?
miscalculating.
No. Let's not raise our hand if we're not sure. Okay.
Affected.
Okay.
Because it's family.
Thank you. I'll do it from the computer. Mohammed, can you pick the next person?
No,
Oh, okay.
He reads it.
So affected. So it looks here like the weather affected this surroundings, this environment negatively, right? Maybe there was an earthquake or something. Nar, can you read the definition, please? Oh, okay.
Line along which the earth and sky seem to meet. Horizon.
Thank you. So can everyone picture that now? This line right here, it's a horizontal line.
Figured
there's an example in math how something was
Wow, that's to burn slightly. Save.
Thank you. So see how they singed? So using fire, that edge of the dollar bill was singed over the dollar bill. Does everyone see that though? So this might be important in the story heat wave, right? Because we're talking about heat. We know just from the title.
Measure the heat of coldness. Measure of heat and coldness.
Thank you.
Movable pointer that shows wind direction.
Perfect. Okay, see how they're pointing toward the direction that the wind is going? Alright. So now we're going to return to our desks and start reading. But we're going to read a little bit about a heat wave first. So there's actual science behind it. So we're going to read about that first. So since your books are already at your desk, you guys can go ahead and return to your desk. Appropriate. Alright, so we are starting on page 358. So it says, what is a heat wave? Peyton, can you read that first paragraph for us, please?
Have you ever heard the saying, it's so hot you could fry in the shade on fire? Sometimes the temperature goes so high it feels as if the sun could singe your hair on top of your head. When the weather is unusually hot and sticky for a long period of time, it is called a heat wave.
Thank you. Daniel, Kim, can you read the next paragraph on the other page?
Heat waves can last for a few days or as long as over a week. They are called when large masses of hot air get stuck over a particular region and don't fall. These hot spells can bend the thermometer to over 100 degrees.
Great, thank you. Isabella, the last paragraph.
Such hot weather can be dangerous, even deadly. People, animals, and crops can all be seriously affected. For example, too much heat can make you sick by forcing your body to work extra hard. In the story you are about to read, one Kansas farm girl tries to save her farm from a heat wave that may just prove too hot to handle.
Alright, turn and talk to a partner about your predictions for this story based on what a heat wave is. So the partner sitting next to you.
It's like really hot. Like when it's very if you want to do that, because
remember we're keeping in mind fantasy and realism. So what might be those extraordinary things that we wouldn't really believe? So keep that in mind. Matt, do you have any ideas?
Maybe go to sleep and then get sick in the balloon.
Okay. So could you guys see how this might go to the extreme
Yeah.
to make it seem like fantasy, so something that's not real? Come on.
Maybe at first it's like a heat wave, but then finally it's just cool down.
Okay. Alright, so I want everyone to get out a few Post-its for while we're reading.
We don't have it.
Okay, make sure you grab them. Yeah. Okay, so we're sharing them with our table. San Francisco has a few.
Wait, we have some. Oh.
Alright, so while we're reading, we're going to be looking for examples of fantasy and examples of realism. So we're using flagging. We're using our Post-its to write those notes. So you're going to find examples in the story. Girls. You're going to find examples in the story of fantasy and find examples of realism. And so even on your Post-it note, if you just want to write fantasy or realism or an F or an R, so you can go back and write down examples of those. Kyle?
Can we also like pair the
Yeah. Alright, and are there any questions of what we're looking for while we're reading today? Does everyone understand what I said? Okay. Alright, so I will be reading today. So you can go ahead and turn to page 360 now. And I want you guys to now do a picture walk for 30 seconds through the story by yourselves quietly. Look at pictures, look at expressions on the faces, some of the objects in the pictures, the setting. Think about your prediction and see, oh, maybe my prediction was right, or maybe I was way off. Alright, go ahead and turn back to page 360, please. And I'll give you time after each page to make sure you have some notes about fantasy and realism. And remember, we can take other notes while we're reading, right? Unanswered questions, big ideas. Alright, so we're back on page 360. We're back on page 360. Alright, Heat Wave by Helen Ketterman. My big brother Hank used to tease me that girls couldn't be farmers, but he sure changed his tune the day the heat wave hit. I was feeding the chickens when I heard a loud roar. I looked out across the horizon and saw a big old clump of crinkled yellow air rolling across the sky. A flock of geese flew in one side and came out the other side, plucked, stuffed, and roasted. Take a minute to flag if you need to. Alright, let's turn to the next one. I hollered for Ma and Pa and Hank, but before they got outside, the heat wave hit. The mercury blasted out of the porch thermometer like a rocket. Ma's flowers pulled themselves up by their roots and crawled under the porch looking for shade. Does anyone notice a simile or metaphor in that paragraph? What do you notice? Nika?
The mercury blasted out of the porch thermometer like a rocket.
Okay, is that a simile or a metaphor?
Simile.
Why?
Because it's comparing to something else.
Okay, but what makes it a simile versus a metaphor? Tyler?
It has the word
Like, right? It uses the word like or as if it's a simile. Alright, next page. By the time everybody ran outside, the heat wave had gotten snagged on the barn's weather vane. It was near harvest time, so we raced to the cornfield to save what we could. But by the time we got there, it was already too late. The corn had started popping. It looked like a blizzard had hit. One of our old hound dogs turned blue and froze when he saw it. I wrapped him in a blanket, and he thawed out okay. Okay, give me an example of a fantasy situation example on this page. Nicholas B?
Popcorn and pop. That's what it was.
Okay, so they're on a farm, right? So they're growing corn there. So now the corn has started popping into popcorn. Is that realistic?
No.
Probably not. So it got so hot, like a microwave pops popcorn, it got so hot that it started popping. Alright, turn the page. Then we heard a commotion in the pasture. We raced over. The cows were hopping around like rabbits. The ground had gotten too hot, so we herded them inside the barn. They still looked miserable, though. Pa figured their milk had gotten too hot, so we set to milking. As it turned out, the cows had jumped so much that they turned their milk into butter. So it was so hot, and the cows were so restless, that the milk was then turned into butter. It came out melted. We'd milked the last of the butter when I had an idea. We scrubbed a couple of shovels and the beds of the pickup trucks. Then I sent Pa and Hank to the field to fill the pickups with popcorn. They filled the back of the trucks with popcorn. When they were done, they brought the trucks around, and we all pitched in and poured the butter